thoughts and your emotions create your reality. How does the universe respond to your thoughts and your emotions? Okay, so so we've spoken about you know, how you feel things in your body and how you and how they impact what's happening. But today we're going to talk about what is the actual mechanism of what is actually happening. Okay, so we've seen this slide before, which was that a lot of the stuff that we see or we experience is not our perceptions are only able to see a very, very, very small amount of all the different energies around us. And this is a picture of the electromagnetic spectrum. That's everything that we are able to measure scientifically, you know, all the different kind of energies. And only a very small part of it, like you see in the middle bit, that's the visible spectrum. That's all that we are able to experience with our senses. But then there are other waves, you know, like gamma rays and X-rays and microwaves and radio waves, and those kind of things. We have knowledge of them through our science, so they can be measured. So out of everything that we can measure, our senses, using our senses, we are only able to experience a very, very small proportion of it. Okay, so just trying to base everything on your sensory experience isn't always the best thing, right? So out of everything, everything that we can measure, we can only see a small amount. So the next slide is that out of all of that we can see and measure, out of everything that we can scientifically see in the world, in the universe, the planets, galaxies, life forms, there's only a very, very small amount that is actually made up of material that we know. Okay, so out of everything that we can measure, there's a huge amount is called to the dark matter and dark energy, and that doesn't mean that it's black or dense or dark in that sense. It's called dark because it's unknown. So what that means is that I think it's 70, or it's like 96% of the universe we have no knowledge about, out of everything that we know. And the 4% that we do know, that we can measure, a big part of it is just gases, helium and hydrogen, and all the material, the solid world that we're able to see is made up of the rest of, I think it's less than 1%. So that's all the galaxies and planets and you know, life form on our planet is less than 1% of everything that we are able to see or measure. So most of the universe is either is space. Okay, so we can see there's a lot of space between things, and also that a lot of this space, what is present in that space, is unaccounted for by our current science. There's lots of theories about it, but there's nothing that's been established scientifically or experimentally. Okay, so the next slide is, so also we know that at a small level, at the atomic level, everything is made up of atoms. Everything physically solid stuff is made out of atoms, like we are as well. And so atoms are essentially 99.99999% space, and there's very little consensus of what's actually solid, you know, if there is anything that's actually solid within an atom. And if it is, it's so small. but most of the atoms, everything physical, that everything that we see as being very solid is mostly space. And it's space that is fluctuating and moving at quite fast rates. It's more like energies and wave-like particles. Okay. So space occupies 99, like the most of the universe. Everything that is planet is present anywhere is made up of space. It's between things. It makes up things. Even like your body is mostly space. The most solid things we have on our planet are mostly space. Like atoms themselves are full of space, and then there's a lot of space between atoms, and then so everything is, just get that concept of everything is mostly space. It's just nothing is really solid. We perceive it as being solid, but nothing is really solid, and it's made up of, like, at a sort of subatomic level, it's energy that's fluctuating very fast. So everything is, there's a lot of energy and it's fluctuating very, very fast. So there's very little consensus about what is actually in the space itself, and how much. So there are calculations being done, but because the numbers are so big, oftentimes they are discounted. But it seems like this vacuum energy is full of energy, and is full of density, and it's a lot heavier than we imagine. It seems like it's empty, but it's not. It's very dense, and it almost seems like the physical world that we see is actually floating within this vacuum, the fluid. It's like a super fluid. It's I was like watching birds the other day, and it seems like, watching birds and seeing fish, they move in very similar ways. So it was like, this atmosphere, this air is essentially, it feels like it's empty, but it's not. It's dense, because the birds, they are almost like swimming when they're flying. It's very interesting to see that pattern. So the reason I'm talking about all of this and why it's important is just to point out that space is the one thing that connects everything. Space is one thing that is present everywhere, and it's something also that is continuous. It's not broken into discrete packages, like we are as beings. We are like, you are there and I'm here, so we are all different and we're all separate. But the space itself is full of it's everywhere, and it's full of energy, and it's full of movement, and it's essentially it's full of light, wave-like particles. Essentially it's full of light. So how does that impact you and impact your life? One thing is that it's the space that is sort of connects everything. It connects us all. So in terms of when we talk about there being that oneness, everything is one, in the spiritual traditions and a lot of the religious traditions as well. The only way that makes sense to me is that if everything that is one, that like even God is known to be omnipresent and is the only way that is possible if it was space that was the thing that connects everything, because it can it knows everything, it has information. It's like an information field. If you were to see it as an information field, it makes sense. And also what's happening at a subatomic level is that nothing is solid, so you're getting these things like particles and waves, and they're sort of materializing, dematerializing. Also, also we've spoken about how we are moving so fast through space, say for example, we're on the surface of our planet, and the planet is spinning at a very fast speed, and then it's also spinning around the sun. It's also sort of, orbiting around the sun, and then the sun itself is orbiting around the center of our galaxy. So there's a lot of movement going on, and so we are moving at a very fast speed, and it feels like we are solid, but we're not. It's somebody used this analogy of watching a film, which is lots of separate frames, but because they're being you see them at such a fast speed, it looks like it's just one continuous movement, and it's something similar that's happening with ourselves, our world, and our bodies. Okay, so it's the space in a way that it defines reality. So the planets and the solar system is sort of suspended in this vacuum, this space that is not really a vacuum. It's more like a network. I don't know, it's more like a network. I've actually had experience of this in meditation, and I might edit it and post it at some stage. That it's sort of, everything is connected. It's like it's the source of everything physical, material comes out of this space. And I'm trying to explain it, but it's difficult to explain, but experientially. And also what I felt in that experience of meditation was that you can, once you're connected to this energy, you can move to any part of the universe, the known universe, instantaneously. It just knows, this network knows everything. It has information, access to information about everything that's happening near or far. There's no like distance. It's like your body. For example, if something were to happen to your toes, your head would know straight away. So it's like being that one single organism that contains and feeds and sustains everything that is part of it. It's like the background of what we see and experience. Okay. So I'm just going to see what's... okay. So this vacuum, it's not a vacuum, it's an energetic field, has parts of it, the sort of the physical world, sort of electrons, or sort of at a small they sort of emerge out of it, and then they merge back into it. So your experiences, whatever you're experiencing, your thoughts, your feelings are emerging from that, are sort of going back, feeding back into that field, and you're sort of you interact with this field through your own kind of frequency, through your own what you receive, what you connect with in that field depends on your energetic frequencies. Like days when we are feeling sad, we connect with a lot of more sad experiences, and we're drawn to other things that are sort of make us feel like that. Sad music, sad movies. Same with when you're feeling happy and euphoric, your experiences become happy and euphoric. You meet people who are in that kind of a state. So it's like you have your own energetic frequency, which is uniquely yours. Okay, so that is your energy field, and you connect to the big field through your energetic frequency. But then even in your own frequency, there are different levels of maybe amplitudes, or I don't know, I don't understand the terminology. So you can be be at the low end of the scale, feeling sad or depressed or angry or hurt or guilty, shameful, or at the top end of the scale, there's the joy and euphoria and contentment and bliss, and so all of these things. So even within your own unique frequency, there are all these different levels that you can be at. So it's like your you're, depending on where you are on that energetic scale, you interact with the field, you draw experiences from it, and then the field gets feedback from what your experience is, and a sort of response gives, it's like a dialogue taking place. You know, you give it information, and it gives you information back, and it's responding to you. And also, and what also the other thing to bear in mind is that it's responding to you, and it's also responding to everybody else. So it has access to all the information, you know, from anybody and everybody. And so it responds to, it can't give you, so the reality is created by what you want, and also by what else is present in and around you. And so, you know, like different cultures and different places have different kinds of ideas about what, you know, what their reality is. So it's sort of trying to maintain that kind of stability. You can sort of impact it, but at the same time, it's being impacted by everybody. So it just depends on what information it receives, will decide what is you know, being fed back to you. So also it seems like the more people that focus on a specific thing, the more likely it is to happen. So if you're the only person, and you're surrounded, you know, if you're a very positive person and you're surrounded by lots of people who are in a negative kind of state or an angry state, the consensus reality, even though you are trying to change your experience, but your environment will stay more consistent with the majority view. Okay, so it's, you know, sometimes it's probably good to try to change your trying to remove yourself from that situation if you are trying to sort of change your own experience of life, or your own sense of reality. Okay, so I hope this is making sense. Oh, okay. So I did think, I haven't prepared a meditation, but I think we could possibly try to do a meditation and see what way we're able to interact. And I'm also, just before I do that, I'm also going to check if there's anybody here, and if you're able to hear me, if there's any. I can see it. I can see. Hi Esther, lovely to have you here. I'm sorry I wasn't checking the comments. So wonderful, thank you. We are going to do a meditation now, so I hope you will be able to join me for that. And so it's I am space meditations, just to give you that experience of being less solid and more spacious. Okay, so if you're able, please make yourself comfortable and close your eyes. And in this meditation, we're going to sort of move inwards. Okay, so again, just start with focusing on your breath, breathing deeply into your belly. And breathing out fully. Into your belly. And breathing out fully. And one more time. And become aware of your body. Become aware of where you're sitting or lying down. Just become aware of your physicalness and the shape of your body, you know, the shape of the container that your body is, the three-dimensional container that your body is. And also noticing that while you're solid and physical, that at a fundamental level, you're made of space. The atoms that make up the molecules in your body are mostly space. So we're just going sort of deeper and deeper into yourself. So it's like, imagine, you know, you have your body, and then your organs, and then the organs are made up of cells, and then the cells are made up of, you know, organelles and molecules, and the molecules are made up of atoms. And these atoms are fields of energy. These atoms, you know, like you have the center of an atom, which is a proton and a neutron, and the nucleus. But even that is mostly energy. Even that is mostly, you know, it's made up of smaller and smaller particles, which contain a lot of energy between them. They have a lot of energy and a lot of space between them. And the electron field that makes up your atoms is mostly just fluctuation and vibration. So just getting that sense of things fluctuating and vibrating, and noticing that it's almost like it's light. It's like packets of light. It's wavelengths of light that are moving very fast to give you the illusion that you're solid. But they're moving very, very fast. And also become aware of all the biochemical reactions that are taking place within your body. So there's a lot of communication going on between your, you know, the chemicals within your body, the enzymes and the hormones, and, you know, the energy production and the digestion. There's a lot of the you know, the neural networks communicating. So there's a lot of activity going on, a lot of organized activity to keep you in this state of vitality, and to allow you to experience everything that you're able to experience. So just noticing yourself as being this center of organized activity, this hive of activity, that millions and billions and trillions of sort of cells and atoms and molecules are joining together, working together to make you who you are. As a person, as a human being, in this time and space, to keeping you together as a discrete being, separate from everybody else. It's like a unique, there's a sense of uniqueness. And, you know, we know that every cell in your body is unique. Everything, you know, like, for example, the DNA is unique. And there's so many other things within you that are unique. You know, your fingerprints and your energetic frequencies. So you're vibrating at a specific frequency, and just being aware of all the work, all the coordination that goes on to give you that experience of you being you, of being a unique self that is able to interact with and experience this world. And as you're experiencing the world, or having inner experiences, this information is being fed back into the information field, the vacuum, the space, that thing, that network that connects everything. Just having a sense of that. So while the while this energy, this intelligence is creating you, you're also giving back to it. You're giving it information. It's like you're like the person, like the scout that's out there, and you're giving it information about what's good, what doesn't feel good, and it's responding to the information you give back to it. And it's offering you choices all the time, moment by moment. Would you like this? Would you like this? What do you prefer? And you get to choose. So you could either inform this field by indicating, by choosing joy and bliss and saying yes to what you want. Or you could be informing this field by saying no to what you don't want, or even choosing things that you don't want. So it's like a very responsive system. It's responding to you. It's responding to your desires. And you get to choose the signals that you send back to it. So now I just want you to imagine if you were just choosing joy and bliss. If you're sort of choosing moment by moment, you're choosing joy and bliss, joy and bliss, joy and bliss. And notice what's happening in your life and your experiences. And at the other extreme, what if you were choosing, oh, I should and I have to. I must do this. It's expected of me. And just notice the type of experiences that are being lined up for you, that you're participating in. And also being aware that, you know, you are feeding back, you're giving information back to this information field. So what kind of information do you want to give back to it? That kind of joy and bliss, or I must and I have to? And so taking that responsibility, not just for yourself, but what are you putting in the field? Because the more joy and bliss there is in the field for more people, the greater that signal becomes, you know, the more likelihood of us creating a reality like that. You know, what is the dominant frequency we are feeding the field as individuals and as a collective whole? So you get to choose moment by moment. What will you choose today? What will you choose for the rest of the day or tomorrow? You get to decide. And it impacts all of us to some level because we're all connected. We're all one. I hope you'll choose joy and bliss. Thank you for joining me. And I'll see you again soon.